Okay, next we're going to take a quick look at some of the sports and events that have anywhere from first to sixth dan as their max rank, basically, or their max normal rank anyway. So first we have beam shooting. So this is what they use in the pentathlon part of the Olympics, where they no longer use they used to use air pistols, but now they use beam pistols actually, where it senses the light and determines if it were a normal gun, if it would have hit that point or not, which I guess seems safer. There's definitely a lot of, I guess, opinions regarding, whether or not beam shooting is actually better or not as good, or requires the same amount or less skill. I think in general people tend to lean towards that beam rifles and beam pistols require less skill than any of the other rifles and pistols that are used in the Olympics. But the Japan actually has this set up where, as we went over in the previous video, regular rifle and pistol shooting goes from levels here. Goes from levels 5 to 8 dan, whereas the beam shooting starts at 7, 2 levels lower, and goes to 6 dan, which is 2 levels lower. So you could be the best beam shooter in the world and the best regular shooter in the world, and you would have 6 dan in beam and 8 dan in non-beam. So yeah, that's beam shooting. Next, similar to the blow darts or the blow guns that we had earlier, there's also a certification for magnetic darts, the magnetic blow guns. And this one goes from level 5 to 6 dan. So similar to before, you poof and you blow a dart at a target. In this case, it is you blow them at a magnetic target. So again, similar to the beam guns, this is far less dangerous than the regular sport. So anybody can do it without, as much supervision or any kind of license or whatever. Especially when it comes to like guns and stuff. For the previous one, beam shooting, the getting a gun license in Japan is very, very difficult for anyone. So, but especially, younger people, there's a lot of age restrictions for air pistols and air rifles, even so the beam shooting is something that kids can actually start from any age. But for example, the air rifle, I think even if you have all the permissions and all the qualifications, you still have to be 10 years old and you cannot have your gun at your home or something like that. And for the pistol, I think you have to be 18 to even consider trying to get an air pistol. So it's very strict. Yes, next we have arm wrestling. As a whole sport, it looks like the lowest is level 4, where the highest is the 6th dan, which is actually kind of strange that they go from level 4 to 6th dan. I don't know why that is. It seems like a rare area. I guess all of them are a little bit strange. 6th level to 6th dan would make more sense than 7 to 6 and 5 to 6 and 4 to 6, but I guess that's how they have them set up. So these are 3 of our 6 dan ending items. And next we have the Naginata, which is kind of like a spear sword or something like that. Pretty cool weapon. I think Impa, the Legend of Zelda, uses one of those. It's pretty cool. The Godan, the 5th dan, is the top level in that, and it actually goes all the way down to level 10 So I haven't looked at the details of what the Naginata's qualifications actually pertain to, but I figure probably level 10 is pretty easy, and then at the higher levels, I expect it's more of a presentation rather than actually using it as a weapon in combat. But there might be some sort of like practice combats that they do for the certifications here as well. And besides that, we have jump rope. So just skipping rope. And in this case, I wasn't sure if I would add this one here or not because I didn't see a single main qualification for this across the country. Basically, it's more like a certification, and the conditions to go to higher levels in them are decided on at schools themselves. So this is more like a inner school sort of certification that a lot of schools implement, and some of them actually have different levels, but in general they do start from level 10 and go into the dans, and the most common one I saw used in many schools was 5th dan was the top level. So again, as far as I was able to find directly anyway, there is no sort of country-wide jump rope test certification that is being held, but there might be somewhere. Next, we have another kind of interesting one, which is sort of the, I wrote Shogi Shoreikai here, but this starts at level 6 and goes to 4th dan. Technically, it's kind of actually 3rd dan, so I'll be explaining this here. So it is, we've had like I think like 3 or 4 other shogi qualifications already, and shogi is kind of like the Japanese version of chess for anyone who doesn't know. The rules, there's a lot of different rules, of course, but this one is actually one of the paths to becoming a pro player. So I don't know the qualifications an amateur player needs to become pro, or if they are even trying to become pro. You know, some people don't want to become pro because then how you are expected to play and what you can do, there might be more limitations on that. But in this case, this is a qualification for people who actually want to become a pro, which is called kishi. If you're like a pro shogi player. And these kishi, they can go through this qualification. They get their first qualification at level 6, and then they go to 3rd dan. And I think once they complete 3rd dan, they technically become 4th dan, but the moment they become 4th dan, they get their qualifications to become pro shogi players as well. So it's an interesting setup they have there. The next one, I added this one kind of as, I think it's interesting to understand that these qualifications, these certifications, they sometimes will still use the Dan-Kyu system. So the dans and these levels here, we have at the side, even if it seems completely and utterly unnecessary. So there's like a Mahjong web thing where I think it might be loosely connected to other Mahjong certifications, but in general, this Mahjong web has only 2 qualifications, the 1st dan and the 2nd dan, and then you're done. There's no others before or after that. So, you know, it seems, you know, you could have just called them, you know, B group and A group, or amateur and pro, or something like that. There doesn't seem to be a reason why they would have to use the 1st dan and 2nd dan, but they did anyway. So that's, I mean, it's interesting that I think the whole idea of this level system that we have in the country is so ingrained that, you know, if people think, oh, we should have some kind of certification, that's the first thing that they jump to, is using these kinds of levels. There are, of course, qualifications that do use other naming systems and other levels and whatnot, but this seems like it's so common to just jump to these. Next, we have, and I'm not sure how to pronounce the English or perhaps Chinese version of this, but I would say Choken, which is a martial art that, to me, I have not looked into it deeply, but it seems like it's kind of a mixture of sort of kung fu and other related practices, including those that use weapons and sort of, I guess from the name alone, it would be probably using your body and maybe physical weapons to hit people within slightly long distances from you. So this one, the final rank is the first dan, and then it begins at level 6. So level 6 to first dan. So that's 7 levels for this one. And as you see, we have had a few items that end at level 6, a couple at level 5, one at level 4, kind of level 3, depending on how you look at it. But they do say that once you reach, or sorry, when I say level, I mean dan here. Now, once you reach the 4th dan, you are awarded the pro as well. So it's kind of like once you reach 4th dan, it's this whole thing ends. So, but 3rd dan would be the highest during your process in that. And then the next one is 2nd dan is the highest, which I think is pretty rare as well. And then we have 1st dan over here for the long fist one. Next, we'll have a few other items that end at 1st dan, but not all of these necessarily call their top rank 1st dan. We'll get into that in a moment. So, word processing. So this is basically like being able to type in Microsoft Word or similar software. And this begins at level 4 is the lowest, and then goes to level 3, and then we have a pre-2 to pre-1, 1, and then 1st dan. And then beside that, we have Spreadsheet, which is pretty much the exact same setup as far as I can tell. So whether you like Microsoft Word or Excel, we actually have certifications for these as well, which are 7 levels each. So I don't know how, I would expect that if the certification is really legitimate and not just one of the cash grab sort of thing, the highest level would actually teach you how to use very specific functions of things like Microsoft Word and Excel. And this isn't just like necessarily Microsoft alone, I think, but these are some of the ones that I would assume that they would use anyway, where you'd have to use specific functions and macros and all that sort of thing once you get to the higher levels. And, probably at the lowest level, level 4, can you type in a cell? Can you maybe add 2 numbers or something? Probably easy like that. But then the higher ones, probably a lot more detail. So, as always, if you want me to go dive deep and look deep into any of these specific ones, please let me know in the comments. So, next we have the World Heritage Certification. So the top rank is, it's basically the same as 1st dan. It's called Meister. And this one, it doesn't have a pre-2 rank, but there is a pre-1, which kind of makes sense to me that you'd have a pre-1 as opposed to a pre-2, because having, going from 2 to 1, in most cases, in most certifications, is a really big jump. So often certifications will add these later after they've already made their certifications, and they'll find that people will get to the level 2 and they'll be like, level 1 is so far away and just give up. So they add something in between to sort of motivate people to keep going on their journey of getting these certificates. Next, I want to look at these two together, actually. There's the cosmetics, so makeup and stuff certification, and the Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerer grade sort of certification. Both of them begin at level 4. And okay, the Jujutsu Kaisen, I've really added this one for reference because it's only in like manga and anime, but because it's so prominent in culture, or a lot of people know about Jujutsu Kaisen, the series, that I decided to put it in here. So let's compare it directly with the cosmetics. So they both start at level 4 and go to level 3, and then we have pre-2 for both of them, and then 2. And then here's the interesting thing. The cosmetics does not have a pre-1. I guess when they, saw people getting stuck at level 3, not being able to go to level 2, they decided to add a pre-2. And maybe the people who get 2 aren't actually that far away from level 1. So it really depends how it's set up to begin with. And over here, the Jujutsu Kaisen sorcerers, they have pre-1 before level 1. So my understanding of the of how it works in Jujutsu Kaisen anyway is you need a recommendation to go to level 1, and you don't necessarily have to be at level 2 prior to receiving that recommendation either. But if you receive recommendation, then you and the recommendation goes through, you are a pre-1, and if you are able to complete enough tasks and expectations of the conditions laid out, you become a level 1 after that. So level 1 in both of these is right here near the top, but then both of them have something called special grade. So Tokkyu. So special grade sorcerer. At least in Jujutsu Kaisen in the series, this is more of it's not really something that you get promoted to as much as it's something that someone with some innate natural insane abilities will be granted as their rank. Where for the cosmetics, I think it is more of a rank, not someone who has insane makeup abilities. But again, I haven't looked into it too deep, so uh, I just want to highlight that both of these are almost identical in how they're set up, and even the top rank in both of them, which it has the same name basically. I think the makeup one actually had a extra sort of descriptor after, but they are the same rank, the same type of rank that they give, which is kind of funny that Jujutsu Kaisen is so similar to cosmetics in ranking. And then the last one I put in here is Coffee Instructor. I found it interesting that it starts at level 3 and goes to, well, it's not actually first dan, it's a kanteshi, so you're able to, I can't think of the word right now, but you're able to assess the coffee and instruct about coffee in great detail. So now let's scroll out here and sort of compare with, okay, we had the abacus, which was a huge one, and we had the amateur ego, which was huge. The bottom here was actually 30. I just didn't write all the way up to 30. And then we have kendo, still pretty big, and kanji, which we haven't gone over yet. And if we look at the difference, how these are kind of they're getting a lot smaller, the range of them, some of them especially, but the range we had in some of the earlier videos was huge compared to what we have now. So they're sort of tightening up, and I think as we move into the next series of ones that end in level 1, and there's going to be so many that I think we're just going to have to select a specific few to go over and ignore a lot of tests that end in level 1, because just with a quick check, I found, I don't know, something like 50 different certifications that end in level 1. So I'll probably just put like maybe 10, 15 or so on the list and give a brief description about those. If there's enough interesting ones, I might make it a little longer, but we'll see. And then we'll probably do a quick video on on things that end in less than level 1, which is actually kind of rare, I think, but there are some that end lower than level 1. And with that, we will be done this kind of mini series that I set out to do, to ramble on about the different Dan-Kyu qualifications that we have. Anyway, that was the ones that end anywhere between 1st Dan to 6th Dan. Remember to like, subscribe, and level up.